Alright, hello everyone, welcome to R&R Gaming. Today we are going to be talking about the most controversial game on the internet right now, and that's going to be Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, let's just say this right off the bat, okay? It is the best Pokemon game that Game Freak has ever made. I know that's controversial to say, because it seems like everywhere you look on the internet, someone's bagging on the game, saying that it's incomplete, or it's utterly broken to the point of being unplayable. Those people are not seeing the masterpiece that the game really is. I'm like right at the end of the game. I have all 8 gym badges, I've taken down all the Titans, bested all the Team Star Raid bosses, and I am very pleased to say that everything in this game is near perfect. Like, I know that the internet is saying that the performance issues are a thing. There are some areas that are running about like 15 frames per second or lower. And like, yes, that should be taken into consideration when talking about the game, but the game itself and the fun factor in it, it's a near perfect game. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to try to dive into every aspect of the game and just thoroughly talk about it. And I'm going to talk about everything that I enjoyed about the game, everything that I disliked, which it's not very much, and just go through it all. Scarlet and Violet are different in a lot of ways from previous entries in the series. When they say you can go anywhere and do anything, they really mean it. The game now has 8 gym badges to collect, 5 Titan Pokemon to befall, and 5 Team Star leaders to remove from power. Each one of these has slightly different gameplay that helps the flow of the game and cover all 18 of the unique Pokemon typings. The gyms are what we have grown to love over the years, except that they all have the gameplay twists that were introduced in Sword and Shield. This can vary from the ghastly double battles, hint, not judge, yes, foreshadow, or they could be 15 frame per second slogs where you guide the avocado from one corner to the other. Yeah, some of these trials are better than others, but they're all unique from each other and are welcome additions to break up the normal battles that you encounter throughout most of the game. Not to mention that all the gym leaders and the people you encounter actually have personality to them. It's crazy. I never thought we'd see the day. Not to mention that you can actually learn about them by attending the classes in the game, where you also learn about the deeper concepts that Pokemon just never really explains to you unless you're in like the competitive league. So they can talk about the natures, the IVs, the EVs. They talk about the different ways to capture Pokemon using a paralyzed status, the different Pokeballs. It's actually really fun in a weird educational way. And if you do decide to go through all the classes, you do get rewarded for it, like through experience candies, and I think you do obtain a certain Pokemon from a different region as well. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but Austin John Plays did say something about it, so yes. But having that said, I think this is the only game where the rival is not annoying. Like, Pneumonia is supportive and she wants you to get better, so she has more of a challenge. It's not like Barry from Diamond and Pearl, where he just was whining all the time and just was like, oh, I want to battle you, let's go. And he was like just the worst character to run into, and you didn't like him at all throughout the entire time. He was not enjoyable. So the rival is actually really good at it. Not to mention the gym leaders themselves. I did say that they have personalities, and you have like the ghost type gym leader, which is like a musician, and she's busting rhymes, she's a rapper, and it's really entertaining to see her lines of dialogue. And then you have Brassius, which is a big like art major guy, and he made this entire statue, and you learn more about his character through the art class. As you are taking all these classes and you go through all the gym battles, you start to realize that some of your teachers are actually members of the Elite Four. It's just crazy to me that there's actually like so many layers to this game, and like the writing is shockingly good. Not only is it like well worded and the localization is on point, but the jokes made in the game are actually relevant and funny. Like, I just never thought I'd see the day where the writing's good in a Pokemon game and not overly childish. I mean, there are some lines here and there. It's like, oh, help your friends, but like, all in all, it's pretty basic, it's well worded, and that even adults like me can enjoy. Having that said, we'll just quickly go into the story and start diving into the other gameplay styles. So the story itself is pretty bare bones for the most part. There's enough to get you by, and that's how they introduce your rival, Pneumonia, where she's just trying to push you through the gym loop. And that's how they introduce us. Then when you get to the school, you're introduced to Arvin, and he's trying to get you to help him out with the Titan Pokemon, as they call it in the game. and they are shielding this substance called herba mystica. They don't really explain it too much, but later on in the story, it becomes really heartfelt, and you understand why he wants the herba mysticas, and it's actually a really touching storyline. Like, I didn't expect it at all. Then right when you're about to start your adventure, you run into Penny, who is getting bullied by this group called Team Star, and you're led to believe that this group of, I don't know what you want to call them, game members, bullies, that they're evil and they're just trying to bully everyone in school. So naturally, you want to try to take them down. But this storyline, not only does it have like the most different gameplay style, where you have to send out your Pokemon in auto battle mode and have them defeat 30 Pokemon within a certain time limit, and then you fight the boss. But the thing that is special about it is that you actually have like a genuine connection to all the characters and the bosses after you learn their backstory. It was the only time in this game where once I learned the backstory, I was like, wow, I'm really attached to you, and I actually want to help you out. And honestly, that's the last thing I expected, because when you think about opposing games in past generations, like Team Skull and Team Rocket, you don't feel anything for those people. You just don't like them at all, and they're just obstacles in your way. But these are like actual students that you want to try to help out. So this was the most surprising aspect that I enjoyed the most, and not to mention that like all those battles were actually challenging. Most of the time it's the last challenge that I would take on in that area, because I knew that it was going to be super hard and I would probably underleveled for it. It was just a super nice change of pace from the normal gameplay, and I think this was probably the best aspect of the game. Then you do have the Titan Pokemon, which like it is fulfilling when you're helping out Arvin afterwards, but like you're doing modified raid dens is pretty much what I would call it. Or actually it's more so like the raids back in Sword and Shield, like the Gigantamax raid dens. It kind of operates like that, where you're taking turns with Arvin, taking down his Titan, you chase him down, you fight him once more, and a little bit more overpowered, and then afterwards you get like an upgrade. So like it is fun, but it's not as fun as like the raid dens and gym battles. But none of these aspects is why I would call it a masterpiece. The reason why I would call this game a masterpiece is honestly like the visual style that they were trying to go for. And I'm not talking like graphics, like the proudness of the graphics. I'm more so talking about like the architecture of the cities and like everything they were trying to convey within the region. It's a very pretty landscape, and honestly, it threw me back to Pokemon XD and Coliseum era. I mean, you could say that the graphics are similar to those games because that's how like not pretty they are, but like it just looks so Pokemon. Like when you're watching a Pokemon movie and you're playing Scarlet and Violet, you're like, okay, this is exactly the same. Like the architecture's there, the region's beautiful, and just being able to explore it however you want is the most fulfilling part. I can safely say that they finally did the open world concept correctly. Pokemon Legends Arceus was like a really good attempt at the open world. So like it's open, you can do whatever you want in Legends Arceus. You go around and catch the Pokemon, sneak around, and just explore the region. But it's not the same in that game because it's so bland, and that's the only thing that you can do in that game is to catch the Pokemon. In Scarlet and Violet, however, you feel like you're being rewarded every time you go and explore a different nook and cranny. Like you might find a TM in one area, you might find a couple extra like quick balls, which are very useful when you're trying to complete the Pokédex. No matter which way I went in the world, I felt like I was being rewarded, not only by the items and the experiences, but like running into my favorite Pokemon. Like there was some encounters where I just didn't realize they're gonna be in the game, or you run into a Pokemon that's like shining brightly and you're like, what is this? And then you find out that it has a different Terra typing than what it would usually have, and then you try to capture that, and it's like its own little mini raid mechanic where you have to break down the shield first and then you're able to catch it. There are just so many different things in this game that like reviewers aren't talking about because they can't get over the fact of the performance and the graphics, which those are both very important things, and I can't agree with them on that. Like the performance could be better, and like the graphics I guess could be better as well, but given the Switch capabilities, like this is probably the best that they can do. Wrapping up this review, we're going to talk about the most important part, the Pokemon themselves. With the new Generation 9 designs, some of them are hit or miss. There are some that are absolutely fantastic, like Skeledirge is by far the best starter of the game. And then you have like very cute Pokemon like Lechonk and Palmy. But then you just have like some misses as well, like Flamigo, it's just a flamingo, and then you have Wiglet, which turns into Wugtrail, and you're just staring at it, you're like, this could have been designed 10 times better. Like, why do we need another Dugtrio? Why? But other than that, like, most of the Pokemon fit into the universe really well, like Bellibolt, and they pair very nicely with the new gym leaders as well. All in all, I gotta say, this has to be my favorite Pokemon game to date. This is the one I'm gonna be going back to all the time, and I think I'm gonna try to do some Nuzlocke challenges in the future. If you want to see some of that content, please subscribe and like the video. And if you didn't, please leave a comment, leave some feedback for me or what you would like to see in the future, and we'll get right to it. But having that said, thanks for watching and have a great day.